Hey everyone, welcome to a special Grove Day edition of the Dan and Joe Sports Show. We're doing our own version of the D&J game day for the Rebs, hosting their big matchup with the Texas A&M Aggies tonight at 6 in Oxford for only their second ever college game day, the first one since Joe and I had just started the show and had a real game day while we were in law school, first one since Katy Perry. So we were excited to do a Saturday edition of the show. Glad to be on with you today, Joe.
Well, absolutely. I can't believe that was 7 years ago. Hopefully, we can have a similar result for Ole Miss tonight.
I hope so, man. I think it's going to be electric. And we're going to talk more about that big matchup coming up in a couple segments. But Joe and I wanted to get into some really big NFL news before we got into what's going on in college football. And the first thing is all the moves we've had. So first off, since we're the most biased show on the internet, let's talk about one of my favorite Auburn players. Of course, those of you listening know that I was a student at Auburn when Cam Newton won the national championship for Auburn, and I actually worked for the football team that year on the sidelines. And I was happy to see that he signed back with the Panthers. Got to be a really interesting locker room he's coming back into, and I'm sure his relationship with his GM has got to be something. Because, Joe, I saw this. Our friend of the show, Spencer, sent this to me yesterday, that currently the Panthers are paying Cam Newton's replacement, and now Cam Newton to be the replacement to his own replacement's replacement.
I saw that as well. I was actually just thinking about that meme right as you mentioned that. So I thought that was a great point, really funny. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Cam Newton comes back to Carolina. You know, obviously they're hoping that they can make a run at a wild card playoff berth this year. It's also going to be fascinating to see how he translates into the offense because, you know, you don't have the same coaching staff that was there 2 years ago with Ron Rivera and company. You now have Joe Brady, you have Matt Rule. So we'll see how that works out. But I think it's a great story. And then also kind of out of necessity, the Panthers really needed another quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold fractured his shoulder last week, and, you know, at the very least, that's a 5 to 6 week injury. So Cam's going to have his chance to get back in and, be the leader of this team for a little bit. And I'm sure if he does well, then there's going to be a lot of fan support and pressure to keep him as Darnold because there's a lot more loyalty there.
Yes. You got Superman back in Carolina, and so a lot of people are excited about that. I'm sure there's some additional jersey sales this week as well.
Oh, I'm sure. I think that's a great move. And, you know, I wonder if looking back on it, if they just would have held on to him and maybe just elevated a younger player for a half a season or something and dealt with Cam recovering from the injuries. Because you look at it now from a business perspective, how awfully stupid was it to pay Teddy Bridgewater all that money to get rid of him after a year, bring in Sam Darnold, and he gets injured. And these are guys that hadn't really gotten it done. You know, they had a lot of hype with him, but they never got it done. And even though Cam had fallen by the wayside a little bit, at least you had a track record of him legitimately being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for a period of time. In fact, he was the MVP. So you got to look at the GM right now. And if you're the Panthers, probably think about making a move there because that just shows you the poor management of that program.
Yeah, I mean, another issue, too, on the same plane is they decided that they wanted to build around Christian McCaffrey instead of, sticking with Cam Newton. And you'll sometimes see franchises make that decision to build around one player opposed to another one. And, with the injury history now with Christian McCaffrey, that's not looking like the best decision either. And so, yeah, it definitely seems like they would like to do a do-over on how they've managed the team.
Yeah, Joe, that's an interesting point. When you're talking about building around a player, quarterback usually is your natural choice. There's other ways you can build around a dynamic defensive lineman, like an Aaron Donald. That's a player you can build around. A big-time linebacker, like a Von Miller. But I would generally say running back is about the worst position that you could use as the guy that you want to build around, unless you have like a freaking workhorse like Derrick Henry. And even Derrick Henry finally got injured and out for the season. And that would even argue that that's a reason you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
He's the closest thing I could say to a running back that's worth, you investing everything with him and doing everything that's best for him. But McCaffrey's a great player. He's very versatile, but you always knew that he was going to be injury prone because of his size. And Cam didn't really start having injury problems until, I guess, about a year and a half before he was let go. So to me, I think that was probably the wrong decision.
Yeah, and also speaking, in the same vein of building around running backs, we see that the Saints are going to be without Alvin Kamara on Sunday against Derrick Henry's Titans. And so we don't have that matchup. It would have been pretty cool. And it just kind of, like you said, it kind of goes to show that it is kind of a bad idea to build around a running back.
Well, and what's funny too is that would have been the battle of what an amazing Alabama running back room that was, because Derrick Henry was the starter and there was Alvin Kamara buried at fourth string on that team.
Exactly.
That was a big move. I was happy to see that for Cam, and I'm be interested to see how he receives the coaches, because Cam's always been someone that speaks his mind. I think I got to know him personally when I was at Auburn. I think he's a very good person, but he definitely sometimes doesn't know when to stop talking. And so the question is he going to be able to not let some of his emotions of getting, cut the first time sour what some of the relationships are right there? I think it could be a good thing if he doesn't let that happen.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm concerned about, is I think I alluded to earlier. I'm concerned that it's not Ron Rivera's coaching staff anymore. I feel like they fit Cam Newton's personality for sure. I'm not sure yet, like time will tell, if Matt Rule and Joe Brady can work out with Cam Newton.
Right. You almost wish that maybe they had already gone to a different head coach before they brought Cam back, because now you're still sitting there with the same coach who got rid of you. I don't know.
Yes. So
we'll see how that works. Well, Joe, speaking of someone that can also be a fire plug in the locker room for good and ill, OBJ's got a new team. Of course, when I first saw that he was going to get released by the Browns, the stupid Saints fan in me got excited that we would actually make a big splash signing. Of course, we never do. It's absolute insanity that I always get excited about things like this, but what can I say? I just mean the eternal optimist. And of course, not only does he not sign with the Saints, he signs with the worst team possible that has the most ridiculous collection of talent this side of the Monstars from, Space Jam. Like this Rams team is insane. If they can't win a Super Bowl, then that's the worst coaching job in the history of the NFL. I mean, I can coach this team to a Super Bowl victory right now. Sean McVay should lose all of this wonder kid status and no longer be the most exciting coach in the NFL. If he can't win a Super Bowl with this team, then all of these lauds are for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they've completely just gone all in, on this season, because, it was already started with the addition of guys like Jalen Ramsey and then Matt Stafford. But now you bring in Von Miller and you bring in Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, absolutely. And I also find it interesting with Odell Beckham Jr. for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, I was really surprised to see Deshaun Jackson part ways with the Rams. I thought he was a pretty good fit in the offense. He kind of fulfilled the same player as far as regimen as OBJ will. But, of course, now he's with the Raiders. And then the second thing is OBJ all week, I was hearing that he was going to either the Saints, as you mentioned, or the Packers or the Chiefs. The Rams really stunned me.
I think the Chiefs would have been an awesome move. I mean, they, of course, they've always had their tandem of Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, but OBJ's a receiver. They don't have that type of receiver with the Rams. I mean, with the Chiefs, they don't have that really great possession receiver that's also got a little speed. So I think that would have been a killer move for the Chiefs to get him, because they're not quite that same level of receiver as they have been.
Right. They really could have used him.
Yeah, but I mean, this Rams team, I mean, it's just so much talent. And when you talk about who Stafford's got to throw to, he's got Cooper Kupp. Of course, he did have Deshaun Jackson. Now he's got OBJ. He still has the guy that played for the Saints for a while, right? The smaller wide receiver that's fast and was the Patriots too. Isn't he still with the
Cooks? I think Cooks is now with the Texans.
Okay, so they parted ways with Cooks. They don't have him anymore.
They have Robert Woods, and then they also have Van Jefferson, who played at Ole Miss.
In Florida, yeah. Well, that's a solid wide receiver core right there. And, of course, that defensive line, I mean, is epic. And you add in Von Miller, who I know he's old and he's had some injury issues, but you know what that guy can be when he is at his 100%. And you give him a one swing only for the Super Bowl, I like your chance with Von Miller.
Yeah, because you're allowing him just to be a compliment to Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. He doesn't have that pressure.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a dynamic player at all three levels now. So that's a big thing. But yeah, these guys, I mean, they're starting to put the Dodgers to shame with all the talent they have. They're like one-upping the Dodgers on this legendary collection of talent they've had there with this Rams team.
Dodgers and Lakers.
Yeah. So it's all big in the big city, right? LA throws the money around and they get these kind of teams, but we'll see if they can get it done. But I think Sean McVay is smart, and he's obviously done a whole lot for someone his age. This is, like I said, this is just a slam dunk. If he can't do this, then I'm no longer giving him like the next Belichick title or anything like that people are trying to put on him.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Joe. Well, with that being said, the next Belichick, we're going to start the next show talking a little bit of Saban and what happened down in Tuscaloosa last week. And I want to thank all of our listeners. Exciting to be here on a Saturday morning, especially before the big game for the Rebels. And you can catch all of our episodes on Spotify. You can look up the Dan and Joe Sports Channel on Spotify. We've been posting a lot of our videos lately on our YouTube channel. You look up the Dan and Joe Sports Show on YouTube. They're all available. And you can also like us on Twitter at DJ Sports Show. We like to tweet a lot of fun things during the days, especially days like this on college football. And glad to have you with us. And as always, I'm Dan.
And I'm Joe.